Microsoft's first generation Surface laptop is still a really beautiful computer as of today, and I believe there's a lot of you that's still using it right now. But chances are there are a number of you that has faced this issue, whereby if you charge the battery of this laptop a lot, it will bulge and cause the adhesive tape of the laptop to give up, that causes the entire keyboard to prop up. Yep. This is what has happened to this particular unit right here, and I have successfully replaced the battery on this thing and get it everything running. Of course, not without going into some trouble. Now, first of all, I thought, why waste it? Because Microsoft told me to recycle this unit. Of course, they sent me a replacement unit, and surprisingly, even though this unit is already more than 1 year old, and when that time I got it replaced, Microsoft says that they have an extended warranty for the battery, and they decided to send me an entire new unit, and they asked me to recycle this one, which I thought, why raise it, because the screen and the keyboard, trackpad, everything is just working as usual. It's just that the stupid battery just makes the entire keyboard prop up. So I went online, I went to iFixit, look at this disassembly process. My God, it's really a terrible process. You have to destroy some things in the way, but you know what? Because iFixit was actually disassembling a working unit without any battery bulging issues, so they have to use the heat gun to actually make the adhesive tape melt and all this, and in the process they actually destroyed the backspace, which I thought, this kind of a little stupid to do that. And thankfully the keyboard has already given up this adhesive tape, so I thought I gotta just go find some spare parts, and which I managed to do it. So I went on Taobao or Aliexpress, whichever you prefer, because they pretty much have the same sellers, and I managed to find a Surface laptop, first generation Surface laptop battery for under 200 ringgit, and that's really cheap, which including shipping that would cost about 20 or 30 ringgit because it's a battery you gotta ship over. Yeah, and I managed to order the spare parts, and now it is right inside this unit. As you can see, it's no longer bulging anymore. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you in today's video that this laptop is kind of serviceable, especially the battery part, and let me show you guys how to do it. So for those who would like to buy a replacement battery for the Surface laptop, I've left the link in the description down below so that you can check that out. Now let's proceed to pry open the keyboard of the Surface laptop. Now usually when you buy the battery of the Surface laptop, they will usually come with tools like this, which is actually pretty cool, and you will definitely need the pry tool just in case if you don't have fingernails to pry open this entire case, because I can tell you this is a crazy glue monster. Everything is glued, so you really need some force to get the keyboard up. But when your battery bulges, chances are it will be way easier, but there will be certain parts of the keyboard that's really hard to pry, so I recommend using this. So as for now, I haven't actually glued the entire chassis entirely because I just want to show you guys how to do it. So let me just take it off like this. Easy it goes. There you have it. Comes up pretty easily. But I can tell it's not that easy if you have not opened it before. So let's just take it out like this. Okay, so there we have it. This is how the internals of the Surface laptop looks like. Now, first of all, don't just pull out this cable, because the number one thing that you will break really easily is this ribbon cable. I've happened to break this when I open up the Surface laptop, and I have to order one from Taobao as well. I'll leave the link in the description below as well. So first of all, take out this ribbon cable first. This is the keyboard ribbon cable. I'm just gonna pry it open like this, and there you have it. Okay, so this is the internals of the Surface laptop. As you can see, you can really see the motherboard, which is entirely, it looks different from what you see on iFixit's video. That's because I've taken out all the shields. This is where the nasty part really comes, because these shields are so stubborn that you really need to use a screwdriver to actually pry them out and to take them out like this. And after when you take them out, you can no longer put them back, which you totally don't need to do so, because really the shields are just there to kind of protect the hardware or to make the entire internals look nice, but otherwise you really don't need to have the shield. Now look at this piece of motherboard right over here. It's the entire thing that powers the Surface laptop. Now the first thing that you will want to take out is the speakers here. I mean, it's all pretty self-explanatory. You gotta get this entire piece of motherboard out because the battery here has a ribbon connector that connects underneath the motherboard. This is how troublesome it is to replace the entire Surface laptop's battery. And the other thing that I want to note is that underneath this battery is a huge piece of adhesive. So if you guys still have your old Surface laptop battery, make sure you drain the battery entirely, because when prying up the battery, you will definitely destroy it, and it will come out a lot of nasty smell and probably even smoke as well, because it still has power on it. So make sure you leave the battery empty for a couple of days before you proceed with this operation. Now for this is already a new battery and I'm not going to do that anymore. So now I'm just going to show you the screws that you need to take out on the Surface laptop. Now the first thing that we're going to take out of this machine is the speakers, and it's probably the most easiest hardware to take apart. So all you need to do is to unscrew these two screws right over here on the keyboard, and take out the cable right over here. Just simply pull up and you're done. Simply just take out the speaker really carefully. All right, so this screw is obviously that's not fit for this, because I kind of messed up the screws a little bit when I actually disassembled this one. But yeah, there you go. The speaker comes out pretty easily, just like this. Take out the speaker, put it aside, and continue with the next one. The next thing you want to take apart is the cooling system of the Surface laptop. Now, do note that the screw size for the fan and the heatsink here is totally different, so you need to be aware of that. Don't mess up the screws, otherwise you're going to have a bit of trouble. So let's start out by unscrewing this part. So once you've taken out all the screws, do note that there's another ribbon cable that you need to remove, which is this one. This is the ribbon cable that connects to the motherboard, which is for the cooling fan here. So let's just take it out like this by flipping up the switch, and it comes up pretty easily, just like this. So once you're done, the cooler is ready to be removed, just like this. Easy peasy. All right, so I already have a thermal paste right over here. So in fact, my thermal paste initially has already dried up, so I reapplied the thermal paste and it looks like this. So that's pretty cool. And now this is where you start to take out the motherboard, and it gets a little bit challenging. So like I said, you need to remove all the shields, like I mentioned right over here, before you can even get to all these things. So there are a lot of tiny little screws that you need to take out of this machine here, and make sure you don't lose them, because if you lose them, well, chances are there are certain parts that will not be secure, and if you shake the laptop, you can hear something that's rattling inside. All right, so let's just proceed to unscrew a couple of them, now starting with this one. So this piece of metal is the part where things can get slightly complicated, because there is a tiny screw here that's held back by the display hinge screw right over here, and this is of course in a different size. As you can see, it's really complicated, so you really gotta have different screwdrivers on hand to actually remove all these screws, and let me show you how to do that. So first you gotta unscrew these 4 screws that holds the display hinges, and let's do it. Make sure you hold onto the display just in case it falls apart, and there you have it. And lift down the display a little, and this is where you see that nasty little screw right under there, and this is when you take it out, and this entire metal piece should come up pretty easily, just like this. All right, we're almost done here on taking out the motherboard. Now last but not least, you need to take out all these ribbon cables. These are the ribbon cables that connects to the display, as for the webcam, the display, the touchscreen, and everything. So for this, you need to use this pick here to just take out these cables here. It's pretty easy. Just prop it out like this. Make sure you don't destroy anything. Just be very careful, because it's pretty easy to break if you're not careful. Okay. Now, just a couple of more things to remove before we take out the entire motherboard, and starting with this power connector here, which is for the Surface connector. So what you need to do here is to use a sharp tool or something to lift out this metal lid here is actually not so difficult. You just need to find something sharp and you can actually take it out pretty easily. All right, take it out already. Next, remove the Wi-Fi radio cables, just taking out like this. And next, remember, before you take out the entire thing, there's just one last thing, which is this tiny nasty little ribbon cable right over here. If you're not careful, you can also break it as well. Just take up this little, just press on this little sponge here and pull it up, and it comes off pretty easily. And now we are ready to take out the entire motherboard. So there you have it. This entire black PCB is the thing that powers the entire Surface laptop. So as you can see, the battery here has a golden finger that makes contact with the pins of the motherboard, and this is the reason why you have to take out the entire motherboard in order to replace the battery of the Surface laptop. Now I'm not going to take out this whole thing because it is already glued back to the laptop. Now of course you will have to remove 3 additional screws here if you want to replace the battery of the Surface laptop. So if you happen to actually break the laptop's keyboard cable right over here, it is actually pretty easy to replace. There's actually 2 screws right over here. There's 2 screws that you need to take it out, which will reveal the connector of the cable. All you just need to do is to remove this cable and replace with a new one. Just buy that from the link below and you should be all set. Now, before you actually put back everything in place, make sure you reapply a new thermal compound by wiping off the existing one right here, which I've already done so. And next, apply the thermal paste onto the CPU. So once you place everything back in place, it's time to seal out the Surface laptop. Now, as you know, the Surface laptop's keyboard is held by adhesive tapes. You will first need to remove these existing ones, which I've already done so on my side, but I'll just need to use one more adhesive tape to glue over this side so it gets sealed. And make sure you reconnect the ribbon cable of the keyboard back onto the motherboard just like this. And just put it lightly on top, line it properly, press it all the way down, and you're done. It's a brand new Surface laptop with a new battery. So there you have it. This is how you can replace the Surface laptop's battery and get it to work again. Now, this is definitely not for the faint-hearted, and you might actually break something if you are not careful about it. But if you practice enough patience on those little screws, I can tell you, you definitely have a hard work paid off. So that's pretty much for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming right up on KLGadgetTV, and I will see you in our next video.